So just to introduce my very good friend AGK. AGK is a PhD candidate at RWTH Aachen University, Germany, where he's currently researching reservoir characterization with machine learning. He holds a BSc in geophysics. He was the best graduating student in Niger Delta University, and he also holds MSc degree in petroleum geoscience with distinction from the prestigious University of Benin. So AGK is a very vast scholar. He's enjoyed several scholarships from MTN Foundation to PTDF, LSS, and currently he's enjoying the DAD and PTDF OSS scholarship. So AGK is going to be taking us through how to leverage scholarship opportunities. So I just want to implore you to pay attention. If you have any questions, please drop them in the chat box because we will be having like a 15-minute session for questions and answer. All right, so I would hand over to my dear friend AGK.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Oga Ayo, for this rare opportunity. I'm so excited to be privileged to have or anchor today's program. So today we're looking at leveraging scholarship opportunities in the 21st century. So when we say leveraging, we're actually looking at optimizing, making the best out of something, you know. So just for time's sake and for proper, when I say indentation, this is August 23rd, 2025. So very quickly, I'll be sharing with you the outline. So what we'll be focusing on for today's webinar. Of course, looking at the introduction and understanding graduate opportunities, general scholarship requirements, one need to have, then crafting your statement of purpose, then your CV optimization for scholarship opportunities. Then we're going to look at 7 proven scholarship search strategies. Then we're going to look at your application timeline and also helpful resources that you could lay your hands on. Then finally, we'll close with current scholarship opportunities. So for today's webinar, I'm going to be very succinct, spot on, concise. I wouldn't want to take so much time because, first of all, I believe that attendees here are people who are actually done their first degree and they are looking towards either doing a master's degree, a PhD, or a postdoc, or they are already established researchers who want to gain grant or fellowships. So I wouldn't be saying so much things because there's an assumption, there's a baseline assumption most of these elementary things you already have them. We'll just be going straight to the point, such that we'll be able to finish in time. Maybe the next 30 minutes should be done, so that we can look at very precise questions. Okay, so a very big disclaimer for this webinar, this presentation. I'm mentioning some scholarship funders, bodies, or everything said here is my own opinion. I'm not representing anybody. I'm not representing, for example, a scholarship body or a scholarship organization, an agency, a sponsor. No, it is just my own thoughts. So this is disclaimer. So very quickly, let's dive in. So graduate opportunity. So when we talk about graduate opportunities, we are basically referring to opportunities from the MSc level upwards. So we are not talking about scholarships opportunities, for example, for um, BSc, first degree, because there are a number of them. But the focus here will be from masters upwards. So I know my very good friend has already done the introduction. Today, um, our focus once again will be on graduate opportunities from the master's level upwards. Just to reiterate, when my host have mentioned that I was the best graduating student at the Niger Delta University, the best graduating student in the Faculty of Science, precisely, not the overall in the university. So just for that observation. So very important. Okay, I've enjoyed a number of scholarships, like the MTN Foundation Scholarship. I've enjoyed even personal scholarships that are not announced from individuals because somehow maybe they are impressed by my academics outcome. I've also enjoyed scholarship like the PTDF local scholarship um, in Nigeria, which is the LSS. I've also enjoyed the PTDF OSS, which is the foreign one. And I want to share some of the insight I've gathered from myself and indeed from some other advanced expert scholars and indeed people who are already lecturers in the field. So I wouldn't waste time. We'll be hitting on these themes. So very quickly, we are looking at scholarship opportunities for graduate studies. So when we say graduate opportunities, what do we mean? So graduate opportunities simply means financial support for advanced education, fellowship or grants. And why do people get to miss these opportunities? Most times it's due to lack of awareness. Maybe the application process may look seemingly complex to, to the individual, and sometimes insufficient preparations for competitive selection. Because, of course, sometimes in a scholarship round, you may be having thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people applying for it. And you can imagine what will be the selection criteria. Sometimes some people don't even pass the first stages because they're not prepared. They have some myths. They feel, oh, it could be only for first class student, for example. It could be only for. There are so many kind of assumptions, and and these assumptions may not necessarily be true. So today we're going to be demystifying that and also be giving strategies in which we can be able to harness and leverage scholarship opportunities in this time and season. Because when there's a proper preparation, of course, you're going to overcome a lot of hurdles. Yeah, just eligibility criteria. You can see I'm giving everything at once. I'm not giving you transition sequential. You're going to be seeing them one by one. No, you're seeing everything from first to finish. So we're going to be looking at them even here and now. What are the basic requirements? So what do I need? Someone may ask. Should I have when I want to apply for graduate opportunities? Most scholarship funders, they usually have a kind of application portal. In those days, maybe you want to fill form. Like then in Nigeria, I remember federal government scholarship. Sometimes people fill form, submit, then the faculty officer or the school will gather it together. But now everything is digitized. So you be on the website, you're more or less filling a form, which is the application form, mostly digital, and then you upload every other thing. Then I am yet to know of any scholarship um, fund that don't require a statement of purpose or a letter of motivation. There are different names to it, but these two seem to be most common. A statement of purpose or your letter of motivation. So basically, your letter of motivation or your SOP gives the evaluators of the scholarship a reason why you should be considered. And here in your SOP is an opportunity for you to give more insight into practical hands-on experience that you have besides just your degree, whether it's first class, second class, or whatever degree you have. An opportunity for you to talk about specific things that you did that shows that you build competency or readiness to be able to engage the scholarship when you eventually have it. Then your academic transcripts. Your academic transcript is very important because I'm a Nigerian and I know most times the process of having your scholarship, your transcript, pardon, can be a bit really time consuming. Sometimes you may not live in the same city or state where you actually did your first degree. You may want to write some letters, and you're waiting for when it will be attended to, and when you now have your transcript. And most of these things takes time. So in your preparation, you should have these things handy. Like you should have them with you. Soft copy, hard copy, just have them. Then curriculum vitae, which is your CV. You have a CV that is more or less like an academic CV because when we talk about scholarship, we're talking about scholarly related things, studies. So your CV shouldn't be looking like someone who wants to go into graphics, except the scholarship is about graphics, because there could be some scholarship for arts and science, specifically for photography, for example. But yeah, there's a way you're meant to craft, pattern your CV such that it's easy. It's very, very easy to see. It's very easy to read. It's readable. Recommendation letters. Most times, some scholarship bodies may require two or three. Most time, professors or someone um who has a knowledge of your studies, mostly your BSc or your MSc. You know, some scholarship bodies may also require recommenders who are in your professional bodies, not necessarily someone from the university. If you notice, I'm a bit rushing this part because these are basics so that we can hit to the crux of the matter for today. And like I said, the basic assumptions, people who already have BSc and they are looking at getting an MSc or a PhD or possibly a postdoc, you know. Then something else you could have is your portfolio. This is very, very important for people who are going to the computer science, architecture, things that most maybe things that you really have an output, readily available output. Someone who is into chemistry may not be carrying test tube up and down, but someone who is into programming, who is into designing using certain softwares. In fact, portfolio is even recommended beyond computing. If you're a geoscientist, for example, your portfolio can even have pictures of few trips that you actually um, went for. You could have pictures of you in the lab, or even experimental results that are published or unpublished or in the pipeline. These are things that shows evidence. Because we're literally saying, I am highly motivated in ABC. 80 million people can say that. How do we know you're motivated? There should be substantive things, activities, engagement that you have actively got yourself involved, and there should be evidence for it. So somehow you should be able to document those activities. But a computer scientist or anyone should be able to document it in a digital format because the person wouldn't come. Let me say, he went for a field trip in Adamawa or he went to field trip in Texas. The interviewer wouldn't now take a flight to Texas to see where you went to. You should have it documented, readily available to show, with other people who went with you, because most times you don't do this alone. So with those other persons, they are more or less people who are confirming, attesting to these things. And again, NGO volunteer. I know someone who she's now in the US. I was part of her volunteer group. In fact, basically, Nascent Educational Initiative. That's actually the name. I have to be very precise here. And she has done quite a lot. And I see that, in fact, having my discussion with her then, those things like scholarship, like for example, Children's Scholarship, Commonwealth, most of these scholarship in the West, they look at those, extracurricular activities because it is believed that when you're able to volunteer or carry out initiative, you're already building leadership capabilities. You're able to lead because most times you're having a presentation just like I'm having that is even academic related. You should be able to speak with confidence. You shouldn't be shaking like a new fly or a new leaf. You should be able to stand bold, and look at people in the eyes. Even if you want to say rubbish, look at them in the eyes and say rubbish, but it shouldn't be rude anyway. But you shouldn't be shaking like one old leaf. You should be bold. You should, because if you're not bold, I don't know what you're doing leadership. Are you running? Are you something chasing you? You should be able to stand bold and face things. Then standardized tests. Most of these standardized tests like GRE, which is graduate record examination, they are mostly useful in the US and Canada. I'm not too sure of that of the UK, but IELTS is mostly in the UK, TOEFL in the US, and from my experience, most bodies, if you I from an English speaking country like Nigeria, for example, or most countries in West Africa, Ghana or South Africa, for Nigeria, we have what we call WAEC. You can get a letter which is called a proficiency certificate. This is not in the slide because most of the things that we're saying not necessarily be into this slide. So your rapt attention will be very, very beneficial. So take for instance, you can apply to your registrar. I did that and I got it. You can apply to your school's registrar or examination officer that should provide you a proficiency certificate in the use of English. Most of African countries are English speaking. So that document literally says that you had your education basically in English. So If you did your education in English, meaning you can understand instruction, you can communicate effectively in English. So most times this TOEFL effect could be waived. I remember having a number of admission in the UK, for example, University of Portsmouth, Coventry. Those were some of the things that helped me skip this IET phase and writing most of these examinations. Yes. So now we're going to be going straight to things you have to look out for in terms of writing your statement of purpose, your SOP. So there are some things that are very important when writing your SOP, and we are summarizing them here. And we're going to be looking at them. For example, past, which is your foundation. Because at the point of writing your SOP, like I said initially, you at least have a first degree. So your past, which is your BSc or B engine or B architect or whatever that is your first degree, is your foundation. So you want to talk about your academic achievement. You may not be the best graduating student in your department or faculty, but you could be a best you could have high grades in a particular subject that you really love in a particular course. For example, let me say differential calculus 1, differential calculus 2, introduction to A or B, and the introduction to whatever course you did, and you did a lot of activities, maybe presentations, you did some things, you can highlight it actually in your SOP. Apart from saying I have first degree in, for example, geophysics from this university, you can talk about that particular course. You can as well talk about, not you can, you should, you actually should for an SOP. You talk about your first degree project. It's very, very, very important. It's more or less like a build up. You're coming for a master's degree or for a graduate program. You must have done something at least related to research, which is your master's thesis or your first degree thesis or your first degree project. Don't talk about your bachelor's project. What did you do? What was the problem or what was the research about? What was the result? What was your role? What was your role? You need to talk about your role. I finished my first degree, my BSc, around 2015, late 2014, getting 2015. I can remember almost very well how I went doing some field work for vertical electrical sounding, for example, trying to investigate the depth of the aquifer of the water table. I want to see how the water table is distributed in the western part of Bayelsa, in Igua precisely. I could remember the Slum Beja array, how I want to get measurements. Then we used IP tooling. I could talk about the iteration. Just for example, you should fine tune it to talk about what you do or what you did. The evaluator, this person has, apart from written instructions, this person have had hands-on experience. It is part of your professional experience. You mustn't have 8 years experience working, but that's your project, your BSc is very, very important. Then you can as well talk about maybe you're already working, talk about professional experiences that are relevant. Take, for instance, you may be going into biochemistry. Now, most research, or mustn't be a research position, but masters, for example, most courses now, machine learning, for example, data analytics, data science have been inculcated into it. I know this for sure. People who study genomics, for example, now they use R to do statistical analysis of data they have. So you can have skill in that, even if you're not necessarily a computer scientist, you can add that as well. So relevant certifications and training that you have done, relevant, like I said, not just everything, but something that is relevant. There's a way also you can skill or coin something that you think is not relevant. You can add it to it. I know, for example, some people they can reason, but they can't reason so quick. Some people they are so scared that some people are already hitting, but you can even craft that it in. You can say you are someone who has a balanced way of thinking, such that you can help organization have good consideration in making the analysis, giving a good time frame. They're just more or less saying you need time to really think well. Because what is the point of rushing and not getting something meaningful? So what I'm saying is you have some experience that are quite valuable, but you may not be seeing it as valuable. Now, to the present, you need to talk about what can you do now. That is usually what some people call the German question. Like if somebody wakes you up, apart from what is in your certificate, what can you do now? You can't lay egg because you're not a chicken, but you can do some other things. If you're an architect, you can design a house. If you're a carpenter, you can nail woods together. So what can you do now? You talk about that with emphasis. It's very, very important. So those specific things that you did and projects, you put them in. Then your future prospects. This future prospect is very, very important. Why do I say it's very, very important? Because your evaluator want to see, okay, after investing this time, giving this person this funding, what do you think is important to this person? Because when this person finish having this, okay, maybe he wants to go back to agriculture. If it's not an agriculture, giving scholarship. Or the person want to go back to music, want to go singing, or this person want to go back to geophysics. Maybe it's somebody that's transitioning from geoscience to something as computer science. And you now have a computer science funding. Like for example, NVIDIA is giving a funding, a scholarship now. Uh, and they finish giving you that $60,000. And when you are done with it, you now go back to geophysics full time, or you go back to something else. If you are the evaluator, how do you see that? Than someone who you know that there will be continuity in that. This is very important. This morning, I responded to someone who sent me a message. Actually, is an Erasmus Mundus student. I is also in Nigeria, and I know right from time. He has an offer. Maybe he's on this call. I've not checked the attendees. He has an offer for his master's thesis. What is the offer? He wrote to, here in Europe, for example, for your thesis or your project, a lot of companies, organizations, even research groups, they are looking for, yeah, there's openings, yeah, vacancies for people to come and spend maybe 3 months, 6 months with them, and you will now write your thesis or your project. I actually did that in Nigeria as well for my master's thesis at Shell I Industrial Area in Port Harcourt. So this person have this opportunity, but they asked him a question. So I was looking at it, I was just smiling this morning. Yeah, the question they asked him is this. They said, do you want a master's thesis alone, or you want a master's thesis that is that has a potential for a PhD? Because most times you do very well in a place, you can as well just have a position. It's better because they're seeing you, they feel comfortable with you, they're seeing their work with, than putting the position outside for new applicants and all of those stories. Time is of essence here. Time is of essence. So even if evaluator has other things in their life, they don't want to waste all the time there. So you can imagine what my answer will be to him. Because they want to know what you want to do in your future after having this funding. What do you do next? What do you do with it? What is the outcome? What is the benefit? What is the very good benefit? This feature is very important. Another example, um, there was a publication by the DARD in Germany about how the funding has been very beneficial, the impact with respect to the country. And I was like, wow. They look at because it celebrated 100 years anniversary. So they look at when they started giving this funding. DAD officially, what is the largest funding body in the world? They give scholarship to the North America, to the Americans, to South America, to Africa, to Asia, to everywhere. So 100 years anniversary was celebrated. So the question is, we have been given this scholarship. What is the impact to the German economy? I was really, really very simple. What is the impact? They look at the thousands. What is the total number of people given, especially for people who come on ground because there's out country or in country funding. In country, let me say, your University of Ibadan. There's an in country funding where they'll fund you, but you wouldn't have to travel to Germany or somewhere else. You'll be there in Ibadan, or you'll be in Ghana, in Accra. You'll be in anywhere in Lesotho, anywhere you are, you'll be there and getting funding. But for the one that comes into Deutschland, for example, what is the impact? What is the benefit? The simple benefit is this. They just give a very basic example. Just a full volume anyway. But the way I'm summarizing it, there was a lot of statistics. So out of it's just something like this. Out of every 10 people who get funding live in Germany, at the end of their funding, about maybe two, three leave Germany, maybe back to their home country. The remaining 7 or 6 that are left, between 1 year to 2 years, they get a permanent job. Those who get a permanent job usually live in Germany all their life or continue working for at least 10, 30 years. Then that is just for example with 10 people. Imagine thousands. So at the end of the day, I was like, wow, this analysis was so solid. Because when you now make a cumulative of the persons who have been here for years, and okay, they are working, they are paying tax, they are contributing to the economy, to the GDP of the country. It is even overwhelming. I'm just talking about future. Imagine there's a predictive model whereby the funders, for example, in this case, can see that at the end of the day, everybody who got the funding, everybody leaves. What do you think? What do you think? So to summarize here, because I think we spend so much time here, talk about your past, which is your foundation, your BSc, your achievement, professional experience, then defining moments about your what defined you. You know, some people say, oh, during my days, this happened and I made up my mind. So some people will say, growing up as a child, when I look at the ground, I begin to wonder what's happening beneath. These people who are geologists are trying to talk about rocks under their leg, you know. So talk about those kind of things. Present why you think you should be the best candidate. Talk about your capabilities, your proficiencies, then your future prospects. Now we are going to optimizing your CV for scholarship applications. When writing your CV for scholarship opportunities, it is usually recommended that you use this single column. This single column seems like single column format seems like grammar. Just like here you can see, just write your CV, just write it straight, just the way you type in Microsoft Word. You don't need to do this partition, do partition. It is not necessary. It will make your CV look a bit complex. You're not the only one. And most times your CV may not be able to, because you sometimes want to use some text blocks, want to use some graphics, some embeddings. It may not be able to pass this ATS. ATS is an application tracking system, which most, what I say, bodies use to screen out applications. So how does it work? Most times it works. Most times, like I say, these are common knowledge. Most times they work with keywords. Maybe you are someone who is into medicine. Throughout your whole writing, there's nothing really technical term that pertain to maybe ophthalmology. Maybe you're someone who checks the eye, or you're doing surgery. There's nothing to talk about you know, the internal structure of somebody's body. There's some technical needs. There's nothing there. There's some keywords that are necessary. Take for example, someone who is doing farming. At least words like cultivate, plant, harvest. For these are even at a layman's level should be there, and it has something to be there. So it's a two-way thing. First, for you who is the applicant. Second, for them who are the funders, because every scholarship body has target. They're not targeting the whole world. Some scholarship are very, very streamlined to particular field or profession. So keywords that are useful in those profession need to be in your CV as regards your experience. You wouldn't put what you have not done. Yes, you wouldn't put what you have not done. Yes. So a well-crafted CV will be able to really, really help you, you know, go far. So I want to share just a very quick example. This I found on LinkedIn. So it's very good to reference. Um, do I still have it here? Very good to reference what you found. So your CV should be very direct. You shouldn't have plenty of how will I call it? You shouldn't have plenty of stories, partitions that are not helpful to you, because um you could be making your evaluators very, very tired. So I think this will waste our time. I'll just get to continue quickly. So I guess maybe in the question and answer segment, we can be able to um continue from there. So I'm resuming we are moving forward. Can you see my screen, please?
Yes. So it's showing CV optimization for scholarship
Yes,
application. Yeah.
yes, yes, yes. Okay. So let's move to 7 proven scholarship search strategies. What are the search strategies in terms of looking for scholarships? There are a number of ways in which one can actually search for scholarships. Very a number of ways which we all know. The first one, we look at the research funding database. This is specifically for the US. You can see it here, specifically for the US. I think we can quickly look at this. I'm looking how much time I have. We can quickly get to look at this. Just a moment, please. So we are looking at the nsf.gov, nsf.gov. I want to be at the website, but I want search. This is when you write to a professor, and most of the professors actually do have funding. They actually do have funding, and you want to really, you know, talk to them and see what they have or have an idea of what they have. So I want to share another screen. Um, the host, I guess I have such privileges. I do have such privileges.
Yes, but I think you need to unshare one before you reshare another.
Okay, yes, I do. I think I'm seeing that. So there are quite a number of things one can do when it comes to search. You can even leverage AI. But there are a number of things you can. Sometimes I get overwhelmed, but I'm not really searching. Maybe I'm, I'm relating with someone else who is searching and all of that. So you can get overwhelmed. This is the U.S. National Science Foundation example for those in science. Because scholarship most times people think it's just science. No, there are a lot in the arts, in the economics, in politics. There are a lot of them. I've had a friend who told me, "Ah, there's no funding opportunities for this." I said, no, 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 no. I just showed one. There are a lot of them. So let's look at this. If you go to this website, for example, I think this may be the only demo because there's no time doing all of this demo. You have the slides and I think it will be shared with permission from the host. So let's say we want to look, maybe someone give an example of what we can share here, what we can search for in the comment section. I can't see any example. Maybe it's science, related search, economics graduate scholarship. Someone said robotics, Akin Tunde Ajala, Hassan Nurji said economics graduate. But for this, it's science foundation, economics or social science, yes. But I want to use a typical science subject here. But we can just use economics. But I doubt it's mostly, for example, um, pure science. Let me say economics. Okay, somebody said robotics. I'm coming data science. Interesting. Oh, this person is quite lucky. We saw a lot of things in economics. Okay, so you can see just current opportunities for you, waiting for you, just looking at you, smiling at you, dancing at you. Maybe you are sleeping at it, but we are looking at them one by one. So what do you do here? Putting just a key area that you are looking for. You see a lot of funding opportunities. If you click on it, you see the name of the school, the professor that owns the funding, the amount actually, what is required of you, when it will begin, when it will end. Let's just take the first one. This is even a postdoctoral one for the second one. But bear in mind, this is specifically for the US. Okay, introduction, collaborative research. This is for collaborative research. I think someone who's looking for a full funding may not necessarily be looking for collaborative. Collaborative means you're already in a research institute, maybe you're a staff, you're a researcher, you want to collaborate with another school in specific things, and you write to them. My institute does that too from people in Canada and the US. But I want something that is very direct. But anyway, we can still use this as an example. If you look at the initial amendment date, you can see this date here. It's at the Ohio State University. This is award number, these are administrative talks. The program managers, these are their names, their email, right? The start date is in January 1st, 2026. And it will end in 2 years, estimated. You can say it's a collaborative, it's not a PhD, it is not a master's. Maybe you want to do joint investigation, you want to write papers, you want to publish in Nature, for example, that's the number one fund journal in the world anyway. And this is for this. But since someone did economics, we just use that a demo. And this is the amount. This is about 49,000 US dollars. And the fund obligation to date, this is what it is. So now, when you have this, what do you do? What do you start licking your screen? Or what do you do? Very easy. You look at the program manager, you have to go and do investigative journalism, like some people call. You want to go and search this person anywhere you can search them in your dream, anywhere searchable. Why are you searching them? You want to know what they are into. There could be you'll be million Becky Packard, for example. You want to search for this particular one that is in Ohio State University. You want to see the person's history. You want to see what the person is studying. So that when you want to write your SOP, for example, or even your academic CV or your motivation letter, you want to put in relevant certification, you need to put in something that is related to what they are doing. They cannot be laying egg, for example, then you are peeling mango and you now want to apply to them. They will prefer someone who is laying egg, assuming you are a bird. For example, sorry for my awkward examples. Maybe they are into economics and you are into architecture. So you need to be sure, okay, what are they doing? Go and search for the person. Go and look for what they do so it will help you and guide you. And don't go and tell them, hey, I see that you have money. You have $49,000. You must take me, there's money. Don't tell me there's no money. You shouldn't do this kind of a thing. Go straight. The focus should be on the objective, on the research. Mind you, this is the topic. Introductory course material. You can say. This is even about curriculum. Maybe they are trying to make a case. Yeah, to make it majors in college. I think this will be suited, for example, someone who's into economics education or education economics. Anyway, that's the best. That's what. Let's just go back to it and let's see what we have. What we have. There are a lot of them. A lot of them. So somebody said robotics. Let me write robotics. Robotics. There are a lot of them. Non-electrical mechanisms of neuronal excitation. There are quite a number. Quite a number. Quite a number. So this is just for the first, what would I say? Somebody even say data science. I'm just playing with this around because after getting one, for example, there are a number of things you can start doing. You want to start doing your investigative journalism, like call it. You want to know what they are doing, what area of robotics. It's a very broad name. In terms of research, you need to narrow it down to specific things. Where will the robotics be applied in? Yesterday, I was watching a robotics match in China. They already have a team of robots. Robots play football now. Robots play football. So is it that kind of robotics or robotics in terms in terms of car manufacturing or in terms of I've seen a couple of production line, doing this automation of systems and all. I think we need to go. We need to go. We need to go. This is just for example that in the US. And there's one that is patterned for people who are in the health, for example. Let me go back to the slide. Let me go back to the slide. Where is our slide? Please, is my screen still showing?
No, it's not.
Okay, it's not. Okay, I think it should now in the moment. Yes, I think it's showing now. Is it on board?
Yeah.
Okay, these are research funding database that quite a number of them. For example, even normal website like I know of www.findingphd.com. There are a number of them. Even using an AI search, you can see. I just give this as a simple example. Then for this one, NIH.gov is also US. This is around people who are into, I think, health related. But you can look that up, for example, and so we can keep moving. Then number two, optimize your LinkedIn profile. I'm also in this stage myself. I'm still optimizing my LinkedIn profile because of time. I may not be actively searching actually, but I've not really. If I want to rate my LinkedIn optimization, I would say maybe around 30%. So optimize your LinkedIn profile. Like this year alone, I've attended a number of things. We are active in a number of things, but they are not on my LinkedIn yet. I think it's important. So I'm looking inwards myself. So optimize your LinkedIn profile. How do you optimize the how question? Very important. Put in relevant works. Put in even your volunteering activities that are relevant to your area. So when we're talking about optimizing your LinkedIn, I think it's about consistency within a niche. You could go out of the niche for a bit, but it's fine, but but you usually come back. What do I mean? Let me say someone who's interested in medicine, want to do neurosurgery. Your LinkedIn shouldn't open your LinkedIn. And what we are saying is about politics of the 19th century. We are seeing political things about this continent is fighting this continent. This is that means your time is invested in that thing because your time is you. You are your time. It's what you do that is you. So some persons will want to check your LinkedIn and say, okay, what is this person? In fact, let me give you a very practical example. I know someone used to be my colleague. He applied for the PCS scholarship, for example, and he got to the interview. Right there on the interview, because at least I've attended the PCS quite a few times, yes, okay. And they open because they check your WAEC if it's fake or original. Because they put in your WAEC number if it's original certificate there to show. They scan your certificate, is original or fake. So they just okay, this is your name. They put it on LinkedIn. They said, you are in this place. You already have funding. So why are you here? He was trying to say, you want to say one or two things. They just turn screen and say, see, you put it on LinkedIn. You have this funding. You are actually here. So you want to have double. It's not proper. All this kind of a thing. So you have to be sure and certain of what you're putting online for the world to see. And you have to be very strategic about optimize your so if someone put let's say like someone who put robotics, if I put robotics on LinkedIn, will I see your name? Will I see your profile? Or will I see organizations, for example, that you have subscribed to? And maybe when I click it, someone will see, okay, your friend is following, for example. So optimize your LinkedIn profile. Then follow official pages. I think this is common knowledge. For example, iScholar, we have Dr. Professor Mosu Lab, very dear to me, I must say, because I have a family member in his lab. So, Education USA, for example, Erasmus, there are quite a number of them. This is so little. This is so little to talk about official pages. You have to follow them. Follow them, for example, on Twitter. There's hardly any scholarship body that don't have a Twitter page or a LinkedIn page. Follow them. When you follow them, you get announcements. You get them as notifications. So that you will know, okay, this scholarship is up. You can start planning ahead for them. Then prepare your document. This WS, this West evaluation, is mostly used for people who want to go to the US, Canada, or most time UK. What is it useful for? It's useful for evaluating your transcript, your degree, to match it with your country of interest. Maybe you're going from Malawi to Canada or Malawi to the US, and you have BSc in computer science, so they want to check Malawi certificate and that of US, okay, in terms of the course content and your grade. Maybe your CGPA can be converted to say, okay, you have 4.8 in Malawi in computer science in this subject. Okay, let's see what it could be in our own educational system here in US, for example. And that's what this does. You can do for example, here in Germany, if you are doing a professional course, let's say, for example, medicine, and you were in Germany, you didn't have that degree there, you have to go and do what we call your degree validation. You need to be validated because without that, you can't necessarily use it to work. I think they also do something like that in the UK, but I'm not too sure about the UK. So you have to, if necessary, if you have interest in going to the US, for example, or Canada, you have to go through this evaluation process. Very quickly, let's keep moving. Our time is running fast. Yeah. Subscribe to newsletters. We've talked about that. Like opportunity desks. Yes. Then monitor university channels. Monitoring university channels is a very big catch. Let me tell you, for example, here in AVTH, there are a lot of open opportunities that you may not necessarily see on Google generally, for example. But when you go to university channels, like you go into the university website, you go to the faculties, you go to the research institute, you go to specifics. I can do a little demo, but I don't want to spend so much time. Go to specific, you see even for persons, collaboration, open positions, you see quite a number of them. Quite a number. I couldn't have to add some screenshot because there's no need. Merely listening to what I'm saying, going to do that. It does that. You even in my institute, for example, there's a postdoc opening opportunity for those who can do some things in computational science. You know, it may not be the popular. And most times the funding are even more than what you can find in Erasmus Mundus, for example. Because most of those fundings you can pay maybe 3,000 euro, depending on the level, is the PhD or a master. But we know it's a common knowledge. If you go to the Erasmus Mundus website, you can see the scholarship, what it offers. Some is 1315, as the case may be, in dollar or euro. And there your living expenses, accommodation, and everything is encapsulated into it. But when you monitor university website, university channels, it's a very big thing. Most of my friends I know, for example, it's through this they actually had their funding. You go monitoring of university channels similar to what we did the first. You go to you check their website, you check what they are doing. You can even send a code mail unsolicited to the professor when you already package your experiences and your portfolio, what you can do, and you show, okay, I'm interested in someone. You can send one and you get a reply. You can send 500 and you haven't gotten one. There's no guarantee. It's like a white card, and most times it works because every year people are graduating. Every year there's new funding. Every year people, yeah, the school is not shutting down across the world. It's also going, and not just for the euphoria of you want to apply to opportunities, but something you really really love, something you want to do, something you're interested in doing, and also get the necessary background, elementary basic. Because even if you love it, you love the plane. If you don't know how to fly, you crash a plane. So it's very important when looking at what they have. Also look at the requirement in terms of, okay, these are my duties. If you don't have those skills, oh, no problem. It's not the end of the world. You have time. It's even giving you more direction. You start looking at, okay, this is what I should do. There are a lot of free opportunities, free training websites, free training organizations that you can learn quite a number of things. Then attend graduate open houses. More or less like I think the UK schools do that a lot. In fact, most times when I was in Nigeria, they do come or have meetings in presidential, they host the whole thing. It's just like a fan play. They will meet you one on one. You have to subscribe to it anyway. You apply or register. Simply register. Then you attend more or less like an open day. They tell you, oh, this is our school. This is what we do. Some schools will say, we don't do science. They are more into economics, law, humanities. Some schools are more big in science. Some are big in engineering. So there are quite a number of them that you can actually do. Then finally, although not here, leverage AI. Leverage AI. In fact, some people do what we call prompt engineering. For if you give two people, I don't want to say me, if you give to Mr. A and Mr. B a topic, even give them outline, not just the topic. Say number one will be introduction, number two will be history, number three, tell them use the same tool, AI. I bet you their answers will be different. Why? Because of the prompts, how they type what they ask. Some of them can even use plugins. You can even use plugins in your Microsoft Word, for example, or in your web and do a lot of things. And I don't know, you have to use these things. You wouldn't use them in heaven. It is only relevant here and now. So use them. Use them. I have to pause. I say use them. Use them. It's very important. Okay, if we are to look at what I say simple demo again with AI. Let me which of the AI will I use? Now they're asking me the ChatGPT. Um, Let me use maybe use ChatGPT because the next point we're going is about current opportunities, for example. But with this, I don't even think it's been too necessary because everything's in your finger. Once you have internet access and you have a smartphone, some people say the world is in your hands, but I don't know how to quantify the world being in your hand with that. But you can do a lot of things. That's what I'm trying to say. So let's just look at the very simple. I'm going to prompt AI to give me current scholarship opportunities in tabular form by region. In fact, let me just say in Europe. If, let's just do that. I will stop sharing. I think I'll be wrapping up from there because I know there could be one or two questions, and it would be nice to just look at those questions and ask questions. We drive home a lot of things. I guess you can see my slide.
Yes.
Okay, so we can just say list current um scholarship opportunities in, let's say, Europe, and a tabular. Tabulate. Tabulate. Current scholarship opportunities in Europe with essential. I don't want to give it, telling it serial number, name, description with essential descriptions. But these are very, very basic things one can do, for example. So we are waiting for the response. And there are a lot of AI that you can compare results. But yeah, let's get this result before I give a final talk on the AI. Then we can be wrapping up. Or while we wait for that. So most times, for example, you are writing an SOP. I have quite a number of things to share, but our time is fast spent. I can give a research design. I can actually give quite a number of things, but it will take so much of our time. Let's say you you want to write anything, you are preparing for your application. I will personally advise before coming to AI. Let's say, for example, an SOP or even grammarly, things you use in terms of writing good sentences, Notero, in terms of referencing, paper, or there are a number of them. Write your own first. Because when you are writing your own, you are writing your original story. AI is not in your history. AI is not in your history. You are the one that knows your history. Write your own very well. Write it first. You just use AI to enhance things, maybe grammar or things that you wouldn't. Because if you are giving up AI things, AI can be writing things that you didn't do, things you don't know about. And there it will be falsification. This is actually taking so much time. These are our initial search results. I think this is doing a kind of deep, maybe the settings I have is quite a deep one. So yeah, this was the first example we gave where you can, for so US schools, for example, you can write specific um, subject area and you get your answers. So while we wait for the AI, when it comes up, maybe I can share. You can see how my prompt is giving it assignment, it's thinking, trying to tabulate and give me responses. So continuing the slide, we are wrapping up now. Um, Let me pull up the slide again. Yes, we are wrapping up now. I guess my slide is up.
Yes.
Okay, so we're already done with the 7 points. Then the last point I'm talking about leveraging on AI, and where we just had the prompt which we did. So the next thing we're looking at here is current opportunities. Current opportunities. But before you talk about opportunities, in terms, you have to have resources. You have to look at, okay, this is what I want to do. How much time will it take us? This is what I should put together. Standardized tests for GRE, for example, will take 2 to 5 months, depending on when you apply for it. Your recommendation letters, most times 6 to 8 months before deadlines, you should have it ready. It should be in your hands. You shouldn't put your professors under pressure. You should have it ready. I'm not saying here that your recommendation letter takes you 6 to 8 months to write or to get from your professor. I'm saying you should have it with you. You should, when they say submit it, you already have it 6 months ready. If you're planning to apply, for example, in January next year, now you should have it. That's what I'm saying. Then for your statement of purpose, you should start several months before the deadline. Why? Because at the point of you writing a research proposal, for example, like when I did my applications, I wrote a research proposal outlining. A research proposal is similar to your statement of purpose. The major difference there is that you outline the research concept, the areas you want to research upon, then you give your work plan, and it's a little bit expansive on what you want to do. So you should start several months, because when you start several months and you come back tomorrow and look at it, you see an area of improvement. So every day you feel like, there's something I must add. And those things you're adding are very, very, very important. And there should be a graduation from your introduction to what, like who you are, your interest, then to your your degrees, your experiences, then how it aligns to what is on ground, what you're applying to, your future outlooks. Request for your transcript, have it somewhere. I remember applying to get my transcript. It took almost 6 months to get it. Imagine a scholarship is ending next week and I start today. It's more or less, I don't know what to say. You don't have transcript, your documents are less than what is required. Then your application forms, what you have to fill. Be sure that you don't have anything that you need to get to fill. Additional resources, there are quite a number of them. You see Scholar Opportunity Desk. I love PhDs, for example. You use solid AI promptings and be creative about it. Then here, this very place, you can see from LinkedIn samples of scholarship personal statement. Let me do a click, for example. Okay, I need to stop sharing. Okay, let's keep going. I guess you still get this slide at the end of the day. You can do that yourself. Current scholarship opportunities. At the point of preparing this PTDF OSS has actually elapsed, so it's actually not current. I think people who have it already have it, and they are preparing to travel. Yes. So for the PTDF, we'll have the LSS, which is the local scholarship scheme, and the OSS, which my humble self, I'm a privileged awardee of this, both the local and the overseas. And it's a prerequisite to get the DAD PTDF partnership funding because the DAD, for example, have different types of scholarships, like the DAD APO scholarship. They have leadership for Africa, and the scholarship just scattered across the world. So the PTDF, for example, I remember in one of my interviews, in my PhD interview, precisely during because I'm just giving a little personal experience. There's some during the interview, your I can actually pull up the grading system for PDDA because they grading the score, but we don't have time for that. On personal request, share. During the grading, I'm just trying to share a personal experience. You have to be vigilant. You have to be very, very vigilant because by God's grace, that vigilance, I guess it was very important to me. Your work is being graded. Like if you have A, this is a point in mathematics, for example, is graded. English B or C or A is graded. The interviewers, about three professors and one other person who will be typing in your grades. They were typing. At a point, they now stop. They now say, "Are you this?" They now mention some other person. I say, "I'm not that person. No, this is my name. I'm AGK Kenneth Eze." What was it? The system they use in entering the grades because they're contracted just for that process and they are independent evaluators. Just for bias, not to be there. Basically, the system, the person has not closed the previous interview. The person that was interviewed previously, his own page or profile has not been closed. So my grades, my scores were being entered into that person. I have to raise the alarm and say, no, I'm not that person. I used to up from which I said, see, this is my name. This is my name. They say, oh, we are sorry. They had to start the grading all over because most grading, for example, like your degrees and all of those they're automatic. Your degree, first class, second class, whatever it is automatic. You can't change it there except you want to go back to first degree. So you have to be vigilant because human beings can make unintended mistakes. You have to be very, very vigilant throughout the process. You know, you have to be very, very and be bold when you are talk. Use action terms. I did this, and be ready to defend it. What you did because these are professors that are knowledgeable in the field. Then the next scholarship here we talk about Fulbright scholarship. The AAUW. I think the AAUW scholarships are basically for people who are in the US or US permanent residents. Then the NVIDIA's graduate fellowship. This is a fellowship that is very, very, I think they're in the fifth year, that is gaining popularity recently because it's the fellowship has to, tells you to talk about what you do with NVIDIA, how it affects your project. I get to see like they're trying to get information from users to see how they can optimize their chip from my personal evaluations. If you are someone who's interested in that or you do research, so it's not basically for people who are in data science or computer science. No, if you use computer, and your computer has NVIDIA graphics, you can actually apply. You talk about what you use it for example. So there's the Shell Energy Transition, the Slow Media Foundation, the Mastercard. There are quite a number of them, even those who are not even popular. Like I said, you can get to universities and talk directly to professors. Quite a number of them that I felt I could do a demo of quite a number of them that are open, like in universities that may not be everywhere all over the place. You'll see that it's already there, and you see what is the requirement. So basically, when you want to write your academic CV, I want to conclude with this, and you open a scholarship opportunity, try to look at the eligibility criteria and pattern your CV according to that eligibility criteria. It helps you to be at the forefront of the mind of the scholarship funders because you meet all of the criteria. And don't forget, you may not be the only person. But if your CV is patterned to it, at least you are already there. Then if it's a scholarship that needs you to talk, some needs you to do interview, for example, a video interview like this, like I did, some video interviews, even to get a place in the university, you need to do some interviews. Then you can be able to they can see you talk, you can be able to give your point, give your reason. So with this, I want to thank everyone for coming. These are I wouldn't bother so much to read all of the tests. There are scholarships in the UK, in Ireland and Canada. There are scholarships also in Europe and beyond. So these are things you can look up and engage them using strategies that we already shared. Thank you everyone for joining us in today's webinar. I feel so excited talking and talking and talking and talking and talking about this. And I'm very, very much open because I do have persons I do relate with. I'm very open to will I use the word mentorship or when I say collaboration? Use the word mentorship to collaborate with you if you are looking for a scholarship in master's level or PhD. In what way will I collaborate with you in terms of your SOP writing? I'm not going to write it for you, just guide, support, suggest. Then in terms of even looking out for the opportunities themselves and see how best we can engage them. Because I believe the opportunity they are for you. Thank you and see you in the next program. Over to you, Ogai.
Wow. Thank you very much, Professor AGK. Yeah, so
Thank you.
we would now
Thank you.
take questions. So if you have any questions, can you drop them in the chat box? And if there is none, yeah, we can call it a day. So if you have any questions, so AGK, you can stop sharing.
Yes, that's what I want to do now.
If you have any questions, please can you drop in the chat box? So what we're going to do is to share the slides after the webinar session. So maybe in the next couple of days, once it's uploaded on the website. So if you have any questions now, do share. Or if you have questions later, you can reach out to me and yeah, I can relay your questions to AGK. Okay, it appears no one has any questions. So yeah, AGK has done a good job.
Thank
So
you.
thank you very much for joining this month's edition of Eagle's Mind discussion. And I look forward to seeing you all in the next month's edition. Have a glorious weekend. Bye.
Bye bye for now.